What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I hope you were able to catch episode 1 where we started this new park. We built this inverted coaster, built our little main street area. First, let's start off on finishing up working on the entrance building, make it look a little bit neater and a little more tidy. Now you may notice this after following me and watching me build this in this game for a little while, but I like to stick to some fairly, quote, generic scenery. Nothing too fancy over the top. Everything just needs to have its purpose and nothing more. So a couple simple gates here to block people from running past the ticket booths. A couple trees, make it look nice. Now I realized there's nothing I had that was going to fit underneath that roof, so I had to go ahead and I'll have to get rid of that roof and put in some full-size trees there. Yep, there we go. And look like that. It already looks that much better. Let's go ahead and throw in some railings to keep people off the grass and out of the plants. Obviously, I have to remove all those benches and most of the trash cans that I put in earlier last episode, but we'll go ahead and put those back. Now, that coral salmon color is not a super popular color, but I wanted to, since it's the same color as the entrance building, I wanted to keep it the same theme, so we'll continue that color throughout and keep it going. Alright, let's get to some of those benches thrown in there. Let's throw some lights in here and make this place look a little more friendly. Started off here playing around with a couple options. Thought I might make my own street lamps. The ones I was looking at I didn't really like the coverage of, so I just went ahead and used the generic street lamps. They have a pretty good fill, pretty bright, and I like it for what I wanted the entrance to look like. I couldn't have been more happy. Let's go ahead and throw those around. Now let's go ahead and throw some of these spotlights. Got to fill in some of those dark spots down there on the ground and make everything look more welcoming. Now when I got to this uplighting here on the entrance, I like the box lights uplights, but I didn't like how bright they were. I wanted them brighter, so what I ended up doing was just placing 2 in the same spot, and that was bright enough. And then I threw some different lights on top for some downwash. Finished up the front building, jumped over to the coasters here, decided to change up the colors a little bit. Originally I went, instead of the blue that you see there on the track and the supports, I had that salmon color that we had on the front building, and I did not like it. So I went with the red, white, blue, but mostly blue theme here. If you got a name for this guy, let me know. We're going to go ahead and get started here on the station building. Again, I don't really like overly decorated buildings, so I'm going to stick with a fairly simple, quote, generic looking building. I'm a fan. It's simple. It does the job. Doesn't need to be super crazy. For me, when I go to parks, it's all about the ride experience and having fun in the park. I don't necessarily need the 100% full immersive experience. I want the rides to speak for themselves. I don't need the extra computer screens, technology, and all the other stuff on top of it to make it worth or make the ride as good as it is. I think the ride should speak for itself. You see me here putting in a little building for the ride op. Now that's a little extra for me that something I normally do, but I thought it was a nice touch. Even left the gate open a little bit because somebody forgot to shut it. So as I'm putting this station together, what are your guys' favorite coaster stations? I'm looking for rides that are not heavily themed like Harry Potter or rides such like that, but what are your favorite coaster stations? For me, the ones that stand out is Millennium Force at Cedar Point and Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Now, I know they're nothing like super fancy, but that's what I like. I like super simple, generic, and they're modern for the era they were built in. Let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite roller coaster station is. Again, putting in some scenery, keeping with our clean line design here. Didn't want to use the in-game path railings or the fences that came with it, so I went ahead and stuck with this. Now I wanted to put in some shelters, some place for the guests waiting in those cattle lines to get under some shade. So I just went ahead and put in these super simple concrete shelters. I like it. It's simple, it's clean. I can always go back in and put in some more details if I want. But I don't know if I recorded it, but I put in some special effects, some triggerable effects along this roller coaster. We'll see if it's in here or not. And here we are working on the roof to the station. I wanted to keep it simple. I didn't want it too tall. This is taller than I was thinking about when I thought about building this, but I went ahead and kept it. It's not any taller than the buildings on the main street, so it's not like it's going to block anything. From the angle of the pathway, you still get to see the lift hill and the layout of the ride, so I'm happy with that. Now I went ahead and put in some windows along the top to make it a little more, feel more open, and I didn't put any beams or anything on the inside because I didn't think that was necessary. So this way, when you're inside the station, it feels super open. This was fun, trying to put in some wall pieces to cover the gaps on this glass panel here. I love the scenery in this game, but there's always pieces that they're missing. Now, are you ready for some fun, monotonous, boring foliage work? I like doing this part. This is fun. Put in some bushes, some flowers, make a little lived in, alive a little bit, you know. Now, what's the point of owning and operating or even working at an amusement park if you can't just ride the roller coasters whenever you want? So we have to take our little ride break and ride a new ride. I wanted to see what it felt like with all the terrain modifications around it. Now, of course, we're not finished yet, and I probably won't be for a couple episodes, but we're working on it. It's all a work in progress. I always go back and forth from one project to another, so we'll see. Now, one thing I did know from the beginning when I started this was I didn't want to make it a flat map like I tend to do. So I went ahead and started raising the ground so that by the time we get towards the back, we can have some nice elevation. I always like building my roller coasters into the scenery, so you'll see a lot of that, the hills and tunnels and stuff raised around. Makes the ride more immersive that way. Now, I'm throwing some lighting inside the entry building here to make it a little more welcoming at night because it was pretty dark. Then I also just noticed that people were walking through my buildings because my sidewalks went through the building. So we used a little barrier there to block it off. Sunk those into the ground so you can't see them. Now we're throwing some path fences along the exit of our roller coaster here back to towards our main pathway. We'll wrap it around the corner here, and I'm not really sure how I wanted to end it off at the building, so we'll just leave it right around here for now and pick it up next episode. And with that, I leave you with the end of this episode. Thank you for joining me for episode 1B. Join me next time for episode 2 as we move on and build some more rides. As always, drop a like below, leave me a comment, hit subscribe if you really like, and we'll see you next time.